A lot of people think they're related to the hickories, really not. That's genus Juglans, J-U-G-L-A-N-S. But they don't grow up here, unfortunately, or sporadically. I don't know that I've ever seen one in FMNR, maybe scattered here and there across this plateau, but oh, they're delicious. That's the same thing you buy in the stores.
Is there only one in there or multiple?
Yeah, this is the husk, and there's a hard nut in there, and inside the nut you have to crack it with a hammer or whatever, and then that sweet kernel is inside. Very pungent. If you want something to open your sinuses up, just mash that a little and take a whiff. You'll open it up. That's for public display. I just thought that. Okay, what we got here? That's one of the next tags are going on that tree, but it's not up there yet, so little different species right there. That's a black cherry. Black cherry.
Does it produce fruit?
The female plant will. I don't see there. They've got a little black fruit on them. Several fruits on one little stem, but they're fairly common here. Fairly common. You don't ever see them in groups like you do the oaks and the poplars and the pines. They're kind of strangers to themselves. There's one, and then a smaller one right here. The bark's very distinctive. Just like the bark on these little poplars, very, very distinctive. They're always smooth. When I say smooth, it's not furrowed, either vertically or horizontally. They're all over this plateau, but remember from May 28th, those of you who are here, that species is habitat specific to this elevation. I've never yet seen one in the valley. Again, all these oaks are genus Quercus, Q-U-E-R-C-U-S. And just about time I thought I had a grip on 8 species of oaks in FMNR. You come up with one of these, you say, well, why in the world? Well, this is my impromptu leaf press. Books you don't use much make great leaf presses. See, they compress and they don't crinkle, and that is, I picked that up here one day this week. That's a bur oak, B-U-R. Looks a little bit like the white oak. The bark is a lot like the white oaks that are so common in here. So add one to the list, that makes 9 oaks I know of in here. And then if that wasn't enough, I tell you, studying these oaks are Dr. Tings, like when you maybe started studying anatomy physiology and you thought it was a little bit overwhelming. How about, that's also one day this week, that's a blackjack oak. Not as common, smaller tree, maybe 40, 50 feet. Whereas the red oaks, the black oak, and these chestnut oaks get 70 to 90 feet. And then if that wasn't enough, if you're into the oaks enough that you understand the red oak family, you would say, well, that's got to be a red oak. It's close. It's actually a scarlet oak, and you can see the tip of its leaf. They're one of the only oaks that turn a pretty color. Most of them just turn brown, fall off on the ground. Like white oaks, they're not, and red oaks, they don't turn a color. They just turn brown, fall off. You can see the very remnant before it fell, just turning scarlet. And that's how it gets its name. But it's very similar to the red oak. You really got to get down to the nitty-gritty, as they say, to tell the red from the black, from the scarlet. You know, it's just really not much difference. So if you're having any trouble with that, you're not alone. Put it that way. So there is one more. There's another oak. It's not as common. Oh, here it is. It's called a turkey oak. And this is also in the red oak group. It's called a turkey oak because, any turkey enthusiast in here? The leaf just looks like a turkey track. Look at it. Looks like a turkey track. There's two kinds of leaves here. These both came off the same tree. There's more of this smaller than the larger, but very similar to a red oak. I mean, if you were looking at the bark and the crown and the contour of the branches, you'd say, well, it's a red oak. But then the leaves start to fall and you say, don't look like a red oak. Well, it's not. It's really a turkey oak. So we're up to 10 species of oaks here in the FMNR. So all that was just breaking news, shall we say, as far as the nature thing goes. This one in here?
Behind the chestnut oak with the pretty color at the top.
It's another one of these.
Oh, it's just
I'll tell you one, there's several differences. One, that leaf is usually more oblong, longer than the black gum. The black gum has a round grape-sized fruit on it. Turkeys, birds, deer, they just love it. Takes it a while to fall to the ground, but especially the wild species of birds in here, they just love it. Now, not all of them, though, produce fruit every year. They're one of those species where if it's the female plant, it may be covered one year and not have any in the next. But that's sour gum.
Mark, does that seem like that deep red with tassels on top kind of behind it?
Yeah, that's the sour gum. Those tassels, Jim's always an absolute positive identification of a sour gum tree. Yep. Another one that's just starting to turn is this little sassafras. Anybody remember from May 28th the comments about this species? Yeah, Pat's ahead of me here. This one has got a 3-lobe leaf. It's got a 2-lobe leaf, and it's got a leaf that don't have any lobes at all. All on the same. That's typical. And the reason I remember it so well, it made a good bonus question on some tests, you know. But again, like Jim said a while ago, you see a lot of the young ones, but very few of the adults. It just gets beat out, you know, by the taller. There's several of them in here, especially in the areas where there's a mix of field and forest. You see a ton of that. But in the deep woods, if you see it, it's going to be small like that. One more point. This is a very young chestnut oak right here. Notice its bark hadn't furrowed yet. That's simply because of the age. It's got a close cousin, real close cousin, called a chinkapin oak. Chinkapin. The leaf not hardly as big, and it's got more serrations or teeth on the edge. But I've been seeing a few of those in here too. I thought they were kind of rare in here on this part of the plateau, but not so. They're both beautiful trees, and this one's actually getting a little color to it. But they're not known as a colorful species. But what they are known for, as they get older, like that big one back there, they begin to twist. The upper branches do, and get a lot of personality and character. A lot of people kind of like that kind of thing. Anybody remember this one from May 28th? There's a tag on this as you walk toward Harold Bibbs down in the dip. There's a tag, ID tag on one of these. This is a Far Eastern import. I don't know that we'd call it an invasive species because I've never heard anything really bad about it, but it's called the princess tree. In your books, it may be Paulownia, P-O-L-O-N-I-A. Its genus name is actually P-A-U-L-O-N-I-A. And it's called the princess tree because it was named for a Chinese empress. It's been here about a century. I'm sure it came over on a boat. And through import-export, it has gotten into southeast Tennessee, and my gosh, they're everywhere now. You know, as you drive up Fredonia Road, they've got a pale blue flower in the spring. You've probably seen those. That's that same thing right there. A little bit of an unusual story, but that's how that one got here. On a nature tour, we can't walk by something like that without saying something, can we? I don't want to cut that one. I hope I never do in my lifetime, or anybody else does for that matter, but that tree's got to be approaching 80 to 100 years old. Got to be.
And what is he?
Well, it's a quercus. It's an oak, and I'm looking at the end leaves out here. It actually looks like the leaf is smaller. It's either chestnut or chinkapin, but I believe that's one of those chinkapin oaks. Quite certain it is, yeah. Whoever asked that question, here's our little Tsuga canadensis, the eastern hemlock. There's another one down here on the right. Very, very slow grower. Even that tree there that's not over, what, 15, 17 feet tall, that tree's probably already 20 years old or so. Oh, they grow incredibly slow. Very, really slow. I mean, some of them just grow maybe 2 or 3 inches a year, depending on the rainfall and all that. That one? He's got a challenge in front of him, don't he?
Is that the same specimen growing out of a square rock?
Yeah, same thing.
So what's your estimation on the age of that one?
There's some in Mother's Park, I have no doubt, it's 125 years old. I have no doubt. Same way down toward Big Falls. There's some specimens down there that'll go past the century mark, I would feel certain. We can't stop every time. I'm just stopping impromptu here when I see something that kind of, and for me, that's about every step, but I think of Jim Quinn, and of course all our thoughts and prayers with Mary Ann still today on her unfortunate accident. But Jim used to, when I first met him, he was carrying books like this around. I knew he didn't have to say anything. He really gets into classification and taxonomy of the wild things, and he's very good at it, very, very knowledgeable. I think of him when I see this little species here. It's an understory. I mean, it never gets above, it's all along, it's really thick on Blackberry Trail, and on the western end of this trail, back towards where we're parked, that's an eastern sweet shrub. And one of you sent me a picture, or who was that? About 10 days ago of it wasn't that, but it was a shrub-like species in here that had a black, grape-like cluster on it. And said, what in the world is this? And was that anybody in this group? Had black, looked like little grapes on it. That was a, if you see, and their fruit are still prominent right now, they haven't fallen yet. They have got a, it was a maple leaf viburnum. Viburnum, V-I-B-U-R-N-U-M. It's another species, it's understory only. It's deciduous, but it don't get over, you know, it's what makes this understory look like this. There's just tons of it in here, like this sweet shrub. But it's got a deeply lobed leaf like this, except it looks like a maple leaf, except deeply lobed. And it's got those black fruit on it. So if you see that, that's what it is, maple leaf viburnum. This is a wild grape right here, by the way. See that vine right there? That's a wild grape. I wish. Hey, if you want to know where some wild muscadine is in FM&R, ask Dennis Matherly. I'm serious. He comes in with a handful every now and then.
Well, he had some on his property line.
Bob, Dennis knows about 3 different locations, but he won't tell me.
All right, Mark, what's this right here?
That's a good question, what that is.
Rabbit hole?
Chances are Paul's right. It's probably one of the little rodentia like a chipmunk.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, they're busy right now.
Yeah, they are.
And the funny thing about those things, and gray squirrels too, there's one, I saw one near my bird feeders. Little jaws just,
Oh, yeah, bulging.
but the funny thing is they'll go hide these cache of nuts and they forget most where they are. When they find them when snow and the ground's frozen, it's just by trial and error most of the time. That's what's funny about it.
Did you see that ad on TV for the sticky notes? And it shows the squirrel inside the tree and he's got all these little sticky notes.
That's a good one. That's a good one.